This episode of The Edge is brought to you by Audible.com, offering more than 180,000 titles for smartphone, tablet, and desktop. To get a free audiobook of your choice and help Trek.fm at the same time, visit audibletrial.com/trekfm. And also by Enterprise in Space, an international program of the nonprofit National Space Society. Find out how you can help science and education and become a virtual crew member aboard the NSS Enterprise Orbiter by visiting enterpriseinspace.org. And if you want to join the conversation and share your thoughts on this episode, join the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. Just type BABEL into the Facebook search field. We look forward to seeing you there.
You're listening to Trek FM.
What have you done out there on the edge of Federation space?
Hello and welcome to Tracks from the Edge, Trek FM's show in which we commentate on all 15 episodes of Star Trek Discovery, one by one, as they're released. I'm Mike.
And I'm Max.
And today we're going to be taking a look at episode 12 of Disco, Vaulting Ambition. All right, so for people who don't know, we're going to be watching this episode and providing commentary, just like directors do on DVDs and Blu-ray discs back when they existed. And we're going to be commenting on what we see on screen some of the time. And if you're not watching the episode with us, that's fine. You'll pick up on what's going on. You've seen this episode 15 times already. I mean, it came out like 3 days ago. So, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. But yes, we are going to give a countdown. If you do want to watch with us, we've started after the logo at the front of the episode. So the CBS logo in our case, or the Netflix logo in some other people's cases, or the Crave logo in some other people's cases. So if you are ready, Max, let's do this.
I'm so ready.
All right. We're going to start this up in 3, 2, 1, start. And they're painting the little ISS logo on there, which is pretty cool. Gearing up for for this week's episode because we're watching the previous Leon thing.
Yep.
There's
flashbacks of all these various characters and the stories that they've been going through in the past. You know, you've seen previous Leons. You're familiar with the concept of television.
Yep. There's the whole spore drive, and 2 Stamets are better than 1, and there's Saru and Tilly and people making plans. Burnham and Lorca together again. And there's Georgiou, Mirror Georgiou, Empress Georgiou, and now we are right into it. Now, I kind of love the way this thing starts because it's got that whole sort of like, you know, very visceral, almost Battlestar Galactica-like, you know, camera shake thing. And this shot is awesome. How it like, you know, kind of spins around and follows the shuttlecraft. And then we just see the Shenzhou in the background. So cool. Anyway. But it seems like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm wrong with this. I mean, they're saying that the palace is at an undisclosed location, so they're warping there. But I got the impression that they were right by each other. They were fairly close. I guess they were trying to get back in time, but I don't know. There was something about the way the last episode ended that made me feel like they were closer than they are. But I guess that's just my own fault. So.
Well, like the implication like I got from the ending of the last episode was the Emperor showed up and bombarded the planet's surface with photon torpedoes. So like I thought like they were there.
Yeah.
Like I thought she showed up and wiped away the population of the planet and was just nearby hanging out. Like, yeah, I came here to fix this up. Well, what was taking you so long? All you got to do is kill a bunch of rebels. So I definitely thought that, like, she was there.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, like palace thing. It's a ship, and I was like, so there's a ship in the mirror universe doesn't exist in the regular universe. Kind of begs questions, but what are you gonna do?
I thought that that her, because you don't see her command ship or whatever in the last episode. I thought it was going to be the Defiant. It seemed to make sense in some ways, but whatever. So,
yeah.
Okay, so Lorca, he's got some sensitive eyes, which is weird, I guess. So everyone in this universe has sensitive eyes. It's not like, it's sensitive to, it's not like, Kryptonians where it's like, well, on Krypton, they're just normal, but, on Earth, they've got superpowers. I thought that, but I guess not. They just have sensitive eyes in the mirror universe. Okay.
Such sweet, dainty little sensitive eyes. They need to be sheltered. It's weird that they don't have a lot of sunglasses. Like, wouldn't sunglasses be huge there?
Oh, man, I just thought of something. Is Ira Stephen Bear from the mirror universe?
Checks out.
I think that makes sense. All right, we're going to have to workshop that one. But, yeah.
If nothing else, this show is definitely implying that.
I stand by that theory. That makes sense. So we just cut right into the logo here. No black in between. It was just straight cut from the episode to this, and I like that. I like that immediacy. It's really cool, and it's just like in and out of that teaser. After the 14-minute teaser last week, it's pretty cool. I don't know, whatever. As we'll see here in a minute, this episode is directed by Hanel Culpepper, who has directed a bunch of TV, every show on television, whether it's Flash or Gotham or Hawaii Five-0 or whatever. But it's very noteworthy that she is the first black woman to direct an episode of Star Trek, which is crazy to think that it's taken 52 years for that, but whatever. It's pretty cool that it finally happened. So,
all right.
Okay, so this is like the one Tilly scene that we get in this episode.
Yeah,
it's amusing, but yeah, you would hope for more. I think.
Yeah,
I think everybody wants more Tilly, but
well, I guess it's just a shorter episode. That's probably a big part of it.
It is, yeah. I wonder, and there's some things, I don't know, like this scene, like just kind of like when I watched it the second time, like with the editing or whatever, it seemed rather frenetic in the way that things cut together. It almost seemed like they had chopped some dialogue out of it. So,
well, this scene seems to me like it's just sort of establishing like the situation in case, like some kind of weirdo, like you decided to start watching this show at this episode. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, he's, he did this thing and he's in a coma now, and that we're going to flash into his mind space. Like, I think that's the point of the scene, which is why it's just sort of, yeah, we're doing something. Something's happening.
Yeah. So here's Stamets with Mirror Stamets, and it's weird because I watching this, I almost get the impression that Mirror Stamets isn't really that bad of a guy. I could be wrong, but it seems like he'd be someone who Stamets in I'm going to say our universe would want to hang out with.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think there's something about like the way people who meet their counterparts, their doppelgangers or alter egos or something, like people who represent themselves. Like I generally feel like that should be a very awkward relationship and interaction. Because
I think that's something that everyone thinks about from time to time, right?
Yeah, you shouldn't be that comfortable with yourself.
You would think that they would probably bring out your worst qualities. You would just look at them and just be embarrassed by what you're seeing.
Yeah, And like the way, Mirror Stamets is like, let's hang out, let's do stuff together. Wouldn't that be cool? And our Stamets is kind of like, okay, sure.
I don't know. To me, it seems like the making of a great sitcom, But whatever. Maybe that's the plan for season 2. I don't know.
If they went multi-camera, I would be fine with it.
That would be really hard to do with the motion control stuff, right? I mean, it's got to be hard enough with one camera.
Obviously, they'd have to dial back some of the CGI and the space battles, but like a multi-camera sitcom where like the main set is the bridge, it would be as good as anything on regular CBS.
I would watch the hell out of that show, They need to do that now. They just saw the plaque in the corner there. I don't know if you saw that, but it says USS Stamets. There it is, right there.
Oh, yeah.
So here's this palace ship. I like the idea that the palace is a ship. It makes sense for like a galactic empire,
Sure. I just have issues with like the whole like causality thing, whether like everything has like its mirror universe counterpart, and things in the mirror universe seemingly have their like regular universe counterpart. So like, why is there a palace ship in the mirror universe but not one in our universe? That just bugs me.
Well, maybe there is a palace ship somewhere, and we just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
I don't know. So Giorgio is back. So this scene, in hindsight, is very creepy, and I mean, obviously he was long gone at this point, but this is straight up Brian Fuller, right? I mean, come on. I mean, are we not talking like Hannibal here? And whatever. It's terrifying, but it makes its point well. So there you go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of virtual cannibalism in this show. Giorgio gets eaten by Voke. That Kelpian dude gets eaten by Giorgio. I think someone else hates someone else at some point, somewhere along the road, if I'm not mistaken. No?
Yeah, that could be true. I don't know. I haven't really been keeping track of all the cannibalism. It's not something that interests me that much.
I had a spreadsheet, but it was on my other laptop, and I got a new one since the start of the season, so I'm going to have to go back and pull that out.
Okay. Cool.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. That's cool. No, that's fine. You don't need to.
So it's cool that, Michelle Yeoh is back here. I mean, I think we all knew that she was coming back to the show, but it's cool that they were able to, and I mean, that's sort of the thing, like, and with Lorca being from the Mirror Universe, I mean, I'm very curious now. I'm planning when the series ends, like right before episode 15, I'm going to take 2 days and do a good old fashioned WPWR Power 50 style marathon where I watch the entire show. And, it's going to be really interesting to see, what little clues or whatever it is that they peppered in to show that he's from the Mirror Universe. And, I mean, with like Giorgio, it's like, okay, yeah, well, we're going to have Michelle Yeoh come in for like 3 episodes at the start of the series, but then, yeah, she'll be back as Mirror Giorgio, and it's all planned out. It's not like, oh, can we get Michelle Yeoh back to do this thing? Like it's, built in from the beginning that this is going to happen. And I think that that's kind of cool because it's the first time that we've ever had that in Star Trek. Like even in Deep Space Nine, which was, definitely like a multi-season arc. I mean, you still had the case of like, oh, that Bashir, who we've been talking to for the past 3 episodes, actually wasn't Bashir. Like that kind of thing. Or, that Bashir we've been talking to for the past 5 years was actually a genius. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, with modern television making sensibilities, you can really sort of plan these things and make sure that they do all fit. And I don't know, like, credit where it's due. There was obviously a theory which everyone had since, Jonathan Frakes revealed that the mirror universe was going to be seen. People were saying, like, I think Lorca's from the mirror universe. And my response to that was always, no, they're just making a character who's, maybe not the nicest person in the world, and we're not used to seeing that on Star Trek. That doesn't mean he's from the mirror universe. And I was editing last week's episode from The Edge, and Brandon is like, I've never been more certain that Lorca is from the mirror universe. And I'm just listening to it thinking like, that doesn't make any sense. Come on, you're crazy. So I know lots of people are like, wow, there's another quote unquote surprise. I was completely surprised by this because I did not think that was a sound theory at all. But did you have any inkling? I think we even talked. Did we talk about it here? I don't know. Did you have any idea that he was from the mirror universe?
Well, I thought about it. Like, I thought, like, could he be from the mirror universe? And I discounted it because, and this was my thought process. It's so obvious that Tyler is Vogue.
Yeah.
There's no way that Lorca's from the mirror universe because they would have telegraphed that like crazy by now.
Yeah. Okay.
I discounted it just because like I didn't think that that like the show would work that way. I thought like I'd anticipated like the storytelling techniques that they had, and they wouldn't actually lay something like this out because, in my mind, they thought that they had put one over on us with the Tyler Vogue thing. And I don't know how the same people can do the Tyler Vogue thing and the Lorca thing so differently.
I think, I see, to me, like the big, and I know that that thing just sort of like built momentum and there was no stopping it. But to me, like from the beginning, like the only sort of Tyler Vogue thing that really signaled to me that this was definitely 100% for sure, it was all external to the show. Well, there were numerous things, but they were all external to the show, like,
but I didn't know about any of those things when I had my idea, and you told me all of those, and I was like, oh, well, then I'm definitely right.
Right. So, but like, I don't know. I don't like, as for me personally, like if I were watching this in a vacuum and I wasn't looking at any publicity and I wasn't looking at any on-screen credits or doing anything like that, I don't think I would have known necessarily that I don't think I would have picked up on that.
I don't know. There are just too many things for me. Like he like the whole Vogue like exit thing. Like you have to give up everything in order to get your revenge and blah blah blah. Win the war and knight the Klingon houses. And then Ash Tyler shows up and he's on a Klingon ship and he like gets promoted like immediately, and people are like, we don't really know anything about this guy, and like he is a little bit weird, and he talks about some stuff like he's got secrets and weird concerns. It's kind of strange that he showed up like pretty much right after Vogue vanished. Like there's a lot of stuff on the show that indicates something's up with him, and Vogue's mysterious absence kind of like seals that. And then he's got the flashbacks of the torture, and it doesn't look like torture, it looks like surgery, and we kind of all go, yeah, we know what's going on. So, like, I didn't need anything outside the show to know that was going on that way.
Well, and that's true. I guess, like, we had figured it out before, like, a lot of that stuff was on screen. So, I don't... But anyway, that's all in the past. Now we're on to new twists and turns and character reveals.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And speaking of which, like, right here, this is where, that they bring in the idea of Giorgio finding out about... Burnham, but credit where it's due again. I mean, one thing which Brandon hypothesized last week, which makes sense. He was like, well, in the mirror universe, since Vulcans are basically, outcasts, and there's no way that Burnham would have reached the status that she has in the mirror universe had she been raised by, Sarek. Also, well, we saw Sarek and he didn't know who she was, right? So, he suspected that Giorgio was Burnham's adoptive mother in this universe, and he was right. All I could think about while watching this scene was Blade 2, I believe it is. Or is it Blade 1? I don't know. One of the Blade movies.
Where he throws the bladed thing and it goes through a bunch of vampires?
Yeah.
It happens in the nightclub scene in the first movie. He uses the same weapon, but I don't think the same thing happens again.
Yeah. It's also similar to Batman Returns with the batarang.
The batarang.
The batarang that he programs. Yeah.
Yep. And Guardians of the Galaxy.
I don't remember that. But
no, the arrow.
Oh yeah. So Saru's having a heart-to-heart with Laurel.
Yeah. She's got issues that I don't. I have a hard time buying. She's like, he decided to make this sacrifice, and I'm not gonna help you help him. It's just sort of weird. I don't buy it. It doesn't really make sense.
I mean, that seems like a Klingon thing to me. He's like, he's suffering because, there's these two personalities fighting, and she's like, let him fight. The Klingon will win. Yeah, she said he will win this war, Right,
but I mean, she could say oh, I'm very concerned about him. Let me help. Let's go to sickbay right now. And then she'll, try to kill someone and take over the ship. It's just weird that she doesn't even go for the opportunity to try.
I think she knows that there's no way that she's going to get out of this pickle. But, I think also maybe her hesitance is the fact that, as we see later on, which doesn't really, whatever, I guess they can make up whatever they want, but the way out for the character is to kill Voke and let Tyler live.
Sure.
I guess. And I can see why she wouldn't particularly want to do that.
Yeah, when she changed the shape of those wavy lines. And then she screamed because Voke died, apparently. I completely buy that, right? That's right. I mean, everyone just goes, "Sure, Voke's gone."
You think that she's trying to pull a fast one on everyone?
I don't believe anything going on with the Voke Tyler storyline.
Okay,
I see the entire thing as like amnesia smokescreen on top of amnesia smokescreen. It's like of course you're your evil twin brother. I don't buy that you're the neurosurgeon. You're the psycho who escaped from the mental institution. Even if you are the neurosurgeon, then the neurosurgeon was a psycho that escaped from a mental institution earlier. There's no way I buy any course of events involving Voke Tyler Voke.
Okay.
Vogler.
All right. Well, that's an interesting theory. I never considered that she was. I think that Voke is dead now, and it's just Tyler in there, which I think is a really.
She screamed.
Yeah,
that seems to indicate that he died.
And I think that that's a really weird route to go, but but also because she was so reluctant to do. I mean, because otherwise she would have just done that from the beginning, right? She would have just said, yeah, let's go, but. I don't know. So here Stamets is going to meet up with Culber.
Yep.
And I don't
he's
know,
straight
like,
up there.
Like, I'm wondering though, like, and I mean, I don't know what the implication necessarily is. If we just take it on face value, right? I mean, this is like a nice way for the two of them to say goodbye, but like, do we think that he's coming back still? Like, for real?
I assume so.
Yeah.
Because it's not a great goodbye.
Okay. I thought it was a pretty good goodbye.
It's all right.
Okay.
You know, like they haven't kissed while a ship explodes in the background yet. You know.
Okay. So you're looking for like Titanic level goodbyes or something like that.
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
It's like, because like the idea of like he's going through a lot of stuff, and it seems like, you know, like there's no way to make it work. Like if there isn't like the hero's journey kind of thing. Like he has to come back changed with something.
I mean, something that I could definitely see is, you know, now that Stamets is starting to sort of like master the mycelial network or whatever it is, like, I mean, I could definitely see a scenario where, you know, Culber becomes his Al or whatever. Quantum leap reference for some reason. I don't know why, you know, and you know, when he goes,
I get it. I mean, like, I was like, yeah, okay, his Al, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a weird reference. I mean, you could go like head 6, or, you know, like, there are a lot of other references, but Al works.
Okay.
Dean Stockwell. Everyone loves Dean Stockwell.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I could see that happening, you know, where it's like he goes into the network and then he can, you know, hang out with Culber and everything like that. But when he comes back to, you know, reality, you know, Culber is, you know, technically dead. You know what I mean? Like, that would make sense. That would be a scenario which seems plausible to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Or, you know, like, they get a hold of Mirror Universe Culber and do a little swappity swap.
They've already said that we're not seeing Mirror Universe Culber in this thing.
Who said that? The people that said Ash Tyler was a human being?
No, their reasoning is they were like, we don't want to show Culber in a bad light, so, you know.
Oh, this is an audio only podcast, so we can't see the winking emoji in that statement. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's.
I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do. I'm just saying I don't buy it.
Okay. All right. It's kind of bold to put them in the same cell like that, but I guess desperate times call for desperate measures. And I'm wondering, like,
also they're both, you know, prisoners and both extremely dangerous, and like they're in a mirror universe, and keeping them contained is hard enough. If one of them kills the other one, I mean, that's half your problem solved.
You know, she cries here, but I mean, I guess we don't see any tears. But do Vulcans like go through the physical like act
Vulcans?
of crying just without tears, or
Vulcans?
I'm not Vulcans. Klingons. No.
I can't think of a Klingon actually like going through the same sort of like facial contortion and like breathing of crying.
I mean, they do talk about like, oh, they cry. I mean, you know, that's one of those things where it's like on Next Gen, they're always talking about like Klingons crying or whatever, even though they have no tear ducts in Star Trek 6. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. So this scene like plays very differently with the knowledge that Lorca is from the mirror universe, because he knows exactly who this guy is and what he's talking about, and it's almost like he's covering for his other cover or something, you know? Like he's pretending to know what he would know if he were the other guy pretending to, you know what I mean?
He's so deep undercover, he doesn't know whose side he's on anymore.
Yeah, he's in too deep.
He's fallen in love with the Don's daughter, and he's in too deep.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, I suppose it's all part of his grand plan. Like, apparently he's got acolytes here just waiting for him to show up, and he's shown up. So maybe he's just keeping his cover solid until his moment to strike.
I mean, like they cut to these reaction shots of him and he looks like legitimately disturbed by this. And I don't know. I mean, I think that maybe when we go back and we look at Lorca just throughout, even though he is undercover when he's in the regular universe, I think that could very well change everyone's outlook on the mirror universe, because we've never seen an exploration of a character from the mirror universe quite like this before. I mean, DS9 did a little bit of it. I mean, there was the whole thing with like Belial on DS9. I don't know. I have to go back and watch that and see what was going on there. Wasn't there some where he was like, "I'm sick and tired of this mirror universe, and I want to come here" or something? I forget what the deal was with that. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that was word for word.
I'm sick and tired of this mirror universe. Yeah.
I've had it up to here with this universe that's a mirror. It's not cool. Like,
I could be completely wrong about that, but wasn't the whole thing like Kira like was falling in love with him again, and it was, I don't know. I'm sure there's someone who just watched this episode last week who's like, what's wrong with these guys? They literally have no idea what they're talking about.
No, the implication of that episode, the implication was that he was more like a regular person of present day, in that, he's not a paragon of virtue, but he's not really cool with murder. He would really like to get away from, people dying and war and violence. He's much more interested in being safe and comfortable.
And I mean, I guess, we do see other people like that in the mirror universe for sure. I mean, Spock, so it's, I mean, and I'm not saying that Lorca's a good guy, but what I'm saying is like our impression of the mirror universe is almost, it's like comically over the top 24/7. And since Lorca, there are times where he's got little moments where he might, throw out a little joke here or there or something. That just, I'm like, yeah, it's not your stereotypical goatee twirling mirror universe character,
No, but like they tend to avoid the the mirror universe hasn't really had a lot of like explicitly evil characters. Like they usually have like one.
Well, and then a lot of people who are willing to sort of like blindly follow, it seems.
Yep.
But there is a substantial amount of backstabbing going on.
Yeah. It's rough out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a thing happening in this episode where it happens really quickly, and it really bugs me. But the Stamets is what's the plural of Stamets?
Stami.
Stamatides, whatever. They swatch places. Like maybe that's a good idea. Maybe he gets the idea from that.
No, do they swap places?
I thought that was pretty clear.
No, see, because I thought that was like sort of a misdirect thing, right? Because he's like, I'm back, and I'm like, oh, they swap places, and then and I'm like, oh no, they don't. Because like otherwise, why does he know? How does he know exactly where to go?
Because
he did it. He just says he did it. So yeah, that was just like a weird little misdirect thingy, whatever that they did. That certainly seems like that's what they did, but they didn't. So no.
Okay,
but it was weird. It was a weird choice for sure because that was what I thought. I wanted to
address that because I did not understand why they were doing that. It seemed very strange. It seemed to come out of nowhere.
Yeah. No. Oh, see, look, Stamets is gone for like a day, and people forget to water the mushrooms, and look what happens.
Yeah. Okay. So the network has been corrupted by stuff going on in the mirror universe. So I guess that explains what happens to the spore drive.
Yeah, and well, I mean, I guess we'll see how that all plays out because, like, I mean, it in this episode, it certainly sort of explicitly states that the whole getting back the way the Defiant got here is just a red herring. You know, I mean, they do bring because like my whole thing was like, what if they go back and they end up in the next gen era, right? And you know, she says like, well, that you can't go the way that the Defiant went because for one thing, you'd end up, 100 years in the future. But also, and this is the thing that I never thought of, like when the Defiant went through, everyone on the crew went insane and killed each other. So, but probably not the best way.
But they went back in time. If you go back in time, you go crazy. If you go forward in time, maybe you go sane. Who knows?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe they go into the future, and it's the 25th century, and everyone who had any psychological issues, totally cured. Someone who had claustrophobia, comes through, sleeps in a box.
I don't think that's what they're going for, but maybe that's the big twist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Lorca goes through, comes out the other side. Ah, I really am a jerk.
Yeah,
I should address my issues.
Yeah,
and he commits to change.
So here it is. Here's the big reveal. I don't know. Did you watch After Trek this week?
Nope.
Okay, they had like a little package that they put together, and they're like, "Look at all the clues that you missed regarding Lorca being from the mirror universe," And I mean, there were some, whatever, but the big one to me where I'm like, is well, there was that whole thing, and this was something that people brought up, saying like he's from the mirror universe. Look, because when he's with the admiral or the commodore, I forget what she was, what her name was, but his boss, right? And they spend that night together, and she's like, "Man, you really have changed. You're like a different person." And people are like, "See, she says he's like a different person," and I'm like, she wasn't being literal, but I guess she was, but. She
literally meant you are like a different person, a person who's not the person I knew in the past. Yeah,
but in that scene or whatever, they talk about how like she's like, "Oh, remember when we shared that bottle of wine?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, I totally remember that." Like that there was that, and then also in that scene, which something which.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. That means that there's evidence that I'm from the mirror universe.
I would say there's more. I mean, I think there's more substantial evidence than that you're from the universe. But whatever. If that's the one you want to go with, okay. Cool.
So many times in my life, people are like, "Remember that time?" And I'm like, "You know it, Chief."
That explains a lot, but but also like in that scene, like there's that moment where he's like sleeping, and she's looking, and there's like a bunch of like scars on his back. They're like, oh, they're from they're agonizer scars, which I don't know what agonizer scars look like, but, okay, that works. It's fine.
I think they look like latex applique.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So I'm excited to see where this is going. I made the mistake. I don't know why. I just do it. I've been watching the Next Time on Star Trek Discovery, so I watched it, and there's a lot of cool stuff on there, but there's also a lot of stuff where it's like, I didn't need to know that was going to happen then. I didn't need to know that, Rekha Sharma is going to be in this next episode. Spoilers for that, I guess, even though it's been in everything. But so that's cool. But yeah. Anyway, I'm excited to see where it goes from here for sure. I can't believe there's only 3 episodes left. We're so spoiled right now. We've got Star Trek every week, and it's all going to go away in like 3 weeks. And then we're going to have to wait like 11 months or something like that for the next one.
Oh my God. It's awful.
I know.
What are we going to do?
Well, I know what we're going to do. We're going to check out our other Discovery coverage throughout the week right here on Trek.fm. On Mondays, Live from the Edge airs at 9 p.m. Eastern with Bruce and Brandy and will be released as a podcast on Tuesday mornings. Then on Wednesday, you can find our show, Tracks from the Edge, right here, wherever you're listening to this right now. And we'll discuss your feedback on Postcards from the Edge with Amy on Thursday. And of course, you can catch our full analysis on the Edge main show with Brandon, who's, just calling these plot twists left and right on Friday. And then to wrap up the week, join us for Notes from the Edge on Saturday with Chris for links between Discovery and the broader franchise. You'll find all of these shows in the main feed for The Edge and in the Trek.fm master feed. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Discovery, and the best place to do that is the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook, where Amy Nelson will collect your feedback for Postcards from the Edge. Just look for the thread with the little letter, the little envelope. Actually, it's a pretty big envelope. You can also find us on Twitter at TrekFM or send us an email using the contact form on our website at trek.fm/contact. Just choose to send to a show and choose The Edge. We'd like to thank our associate producers today, Tony Robinson, Thomas Puleo, Lisa Slack, Shoaib Mirza, Richard Rutledge, James Muldrow, and Cornelia Reutner. Thank you very much, everyone, for helping us out. If you'd like to help us keep all of our shows going and even become an associate producer yourself, visit patreon.com/trekfm for all the details. All right. Well, it's been a lot of fun talking about this, the shortest episode of Star Trek since the end of the animated series. But we will be back next week for another episode of a length to be determined. So until then, don't fall off the edge. I never know how to end it.
That's a great ending line. That's good. Let's stick with that.